All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about one of the biggest, most important shifts happening in the software world right now. And that's this move away from just selling a product to letting the product actually sell itself. It's a huge change in how companies grow. And you know what's driving it? Us, the users, and how we want to buy things now.
I mean, you remember this, right? The endless back and forth emails, sitting through these canned presentations, the high pressure sales calls, and you had to do all of that before you even got to click a single button in the actual product. For years, that was just how it was done. But let's be real, that whole song and dance is quickly becoming a relic of the past because our expectations have totally, completely changed.
And if you need one number that explains everything, this is it. A massive 97% of B2B buyers now say they want to try a product before they even think about talking to a salesperson. That's not a trend. That's an earthquake. It's a total rejection of that old, slow model and a huge demand for a new way forward. So, if that old sales-led engine is starting to stall out, what's taking its place? Well, that brings us to the new growth engine for SaaS, product-led growth. You'll hear it called PLG. This is the strategy that all the fastest-growing software companies are using to meet this new demand head-on. So what is it exactly? Well, to put it really simply, product-led growth just means you're using your product as the main way your business grows. So instead of a sales team trying to convince you how valuable the product is, the product just proves its value directly to you, the user. The experience is the sales pitch.
Now, this is super important to understand. This isn't some all-or-nothing choice. The biggest mistake people make is thinking you have to fire your entire sales team. It's not like that at all. It's actually a spectrum. A company can be totally sales-led for those huge, complex enterprise deals, and at the same time, be totally product-led for smaller customers. Or they can find a sweet spot in the middle. The whole key is figuring out where your sales team adds real value and where they just create friction.
Okay, so for a product to sell itself, that very first experience a user has is, well, it's everything. If you can't show them your value almost instantly, you've probably lost them for good. This is the art of onboarding. It's all about winning over that user in those first, absolutely critical few minutes. And this is a brilliant way to think about it. You've got two approaches to onboarding. The SALT approach is where you just sprinkle on these little fixes. A slightly faster email follow-up, maybe a nicer welcome screen. And these things might help a little bit, but they don't solve the real problem. The shovel approach, on the other hand, is about digging a clear, direct path straight to value. It helps the user solve their problem right away, inside your product, proving its worth without any delay. And when you look at the data, you see just how critical this is. Onboarding is so often the biggest bottleneck. I mean, get this. A staggering 40 to 60% of people who sign up for a free trial will use it one time and then never, ever come back. And when you realize we all have the attention span of a goldfish, about 8 seconds online, and more than half of us hate giving our personal info to new services, you have this tiny, tiny window to make a huge impact. So how do you actually build an experience that makes people stick around? Well, a really powerful framework is Nir Eyal's hooked cycle. It's all about creating habit-forming products. It starts with a trigger, right? Like a notification on your phone. That leads you to take a simple action, like opening the app. Then you get a variable reward, something satisfying, but a little unpredictable, like a new like or an interesting piece of content. And finally, you make an investment. You put something in, data, time, you customize your profile, which makes you way more likely to come back. This isn't just about engagement. It's about building a reliable loop that turns casual users into your future customers. Okay, so you've nailed the onboarding. You've hooked the user, they're engaged, they see the value. Now comes the million-dollar question, right? How do you actually get them to pay for it? And this is where the psychology of pricing gets really interesting. This classic experiment just shows how weird our brains are when it comes to money. So in the first trial, you offer people 2 beers, and most, about 2/3, go for the more expensive premium one. Makes sense. But look what happens in trial 3. You add an even more expensive beer, and suddenly almost everyone, we're talking 90% of people, chooses that middle premium option. That third option acts as a decoy. It makes the middle choice feel like the safest, most logical deal. And look at the revenue. It goes way up. This is called the decoy effect, and I promise you, once you see it, you start seeing it everywhere. It's the foundation of what we call good, better, best pricing. Companies like MailChimp and Netflix are absolute masters of this. They lay out 3 tiers, and they psychologically guide us away from the cheapest and most expensive options right toward that middle, better, or standard plan, which, surprise, surprise, is usually the one they want us to pick all along. But it's not just about how many tiers you have. There's another huge decision.
how you charge. The two big models today are the one we all know, the monthly subscription. It's like a gym membership for your software. And the other is usage-based pricing, which is getting super popular, where you just pay for what you actually use.
And the data here is really clear. The top usage-based companies are growing nearly twice as fast as their subscription-based competitors. And the reason why is simple, but it's so powerful. Usage-based pricing perfectly aligns the cost of the product with the value a customer gets from it. So, as your customers use your product more and become more successful, they naturally pay you more. It creates this amazing built-in engine for growth. All right, so a great user experience, smart pricing, these are the key ingredients. But what does it all add up to? What's the actual payoff on the bottom line? Let's talk about the real, tangible business results you get from a great product-led growth strategy. First up, and this is a big one, cost savings. Because the product is doing so much of the heavy lifting to bring in customers, PLG companies can have a customer acquisition cost that is up to 44% lower than traditional companies. I mean, that's not a small tweak, that is a massive efficiency gain. And that efficiency, it ripples through the entire business. The top performing PLG companies are consistently pulling in over $300,000 in revenue per employee. They can just do more with less because the product itself is automating all this work that used to require huge sales, marketing, and customer success teams. You know, a really great way to think about all this is to start seeing your product as your single best employee. Seriously. It's your best salesperson working 24/7, showing people its value. It's your best customer success rep, giving people help right inside the app. It's your best marketing channel. And it's your best data analyst, tracking every little thing. It's this incredible asset that can scale to millions of users without you having to add a single person to your payroll. And at the end of the day, this quote really sums it all up perfectly. For most companies out there, the debate about if you should do this is pretty much over. The real work, the hard work, is figuring out how you carefully weave a product-led approach into what you're already doing without breaking the things that are working well. So I'll leave you with one final and I think pretty critical question to ask yourself. Just take a hard look at your own company, at your own product. Is it truly your best salesperson? And if the answer is no, what would it take to get there? Because in the world we live in today, the answer to that question is going to define your future.